Hey boys and girls, welcome to Flex Friday. Today we're going to focus on subtracting multi-digit numbers that involve regrouping. This is a skill that we've practiced since the start of the school year, but as the days went on, our numbers got larger and the regrouping was happening in more than just one spot. So today we're going to focus on what it actually looks like to subtract multi-digit numbers, as well as key strategies to make sure you're doing that will set you up for success in solving these on a regular basis. So let's get started. My first problem is 342 minus 127. I started by underlining each number in a different color based on its place value. So my two that are purple are in my ones, my teals are my tens, and my blues are my 100s. This will really help when I write it vertically because I'll be able to line the numbers up more accurately. I also circled the subtraction sign. I find this as a really important thing to do because it will help prevent me from making a mistake by adding instead of subtracting. So I'm going to line these two numbers up vertically. As you see when I line them up, like I said, the two purple numbers are on top of each other, the teals and the blues. Now, what I find kids wanting to do often is they'll say 3 minus 1 is 2, 4 minus 2 is 2, 2 minus 7 is 5. Unfortunately, that's not correct. Let's review why. If I have 3 Skittles, can I give you one of them? Sure, I could. If I have 4 Skittles, could I give you 2 of them? You bet I can. But if I only have 2 Skittles, can I give you 7 of them? No, that just does not work. So this is where we need to take a breath and figure out what is our actual first step. Our first step is to look at the digits on the top and figure out, are they greater in value than the digits below them? 3 is greater than 1, 4 is greater than 2, but 2 is not greater than 7, which means I need to borrow. Now, when I borrow, I go to my neighbor next door and I borrow. So 4, which actually is 40, becomes 30. Now that 10 that I'm taking comes over to my 2. Remember, it's a 10, not a 1. Be very careful not to turn my 2 into a 3. My 2 actually turns into a 12. So now let's look over this. Is 3 greater than 1? Yes. Is 3 greater than 2? Yes. Is 12 greater than 7? Yes. I'm good to subtract. So 12 minus 7 is 5. 3 minus 2 is 1. And 3 minus 1 is 2. So my answer was not 225, but rather 215. Now I could double check that with a calculator, or I could always do the inverse operation, and I could take 127 plus 215, and I should get the answer of 342. Let's try another. Now, boys and girls, I'm going to show you a problem, and I know at home you have notebook paper. Here's a really great strategy if you're struggling with lining your numbers up. So I've got a problem here that's 4,204 minus 2,197. First thing I want to do, again, is identify my place values. If I'm struggling with lining them up, this is a critical point for you. So there's my ones. Here's my tens, hundreds, thousands. Now, sometimes when I line a number up, you might see I might do something like this if I'm going fast. 4,204,2,197 minus. How many of you have written a problem like that? I am raising my hand right now, and I know you are too. The only problem with this is I copied it down correctly, but take a look at my numbers. These could get really hard to subtract, and I might end up with an incorrect answer. So we want to avoid that. Here's a quick little tip. Turn your paper, your notebook paper, sideways. Notice how the lines now come towards you. When I line this up, this is like using grid paper. I can take my number, 4,204, and I can go at it like this. 4,204. Each line gets a digit. Minus, now notice my 2 here is the same color as my 4, which means they go in line with each other. 2,197. Okay? Notice how much easier it is to line it up that way. Now I can add my commas in. Now, based on our last problem, let's go through this and figure out, our first step was to see if our numbers on the top line are all greater than the digits below them. So let's take a look at our thousands. Is 4 greater than 2? Yep. 2 greater than 1? Yes. 0 greater than 9? No. We're going to stop right there for a minute and we're going to fix that. I'm going to take my 0, I'm going next door, and I'm going to borrow. Now this is 200, so I'm going to borrow 100. He's going to turn into a 100. And this now is 10 tens. Now before we start subtracting, let's double check and make sure we're still okay to go. 4 is greater than 2 still. 1 is not greater than 1, but it's not less than 1. If I have 1 Skittle, I can still give 1 away. 10 is greater than 9. Is 4 greater than 7? Uh-oh, this is a double borrow. So I'm going to my next door neighbor. He has 10 tens. He's going to turn into a 9. Now is my 4 going to turn into a 14 or a 5? If you're saying 14, awesome job. Remember, I'm bringing over a 10, not a 1. 14. Now let's double check one last time. 4 is greater than 2. 1 is okay with 1. 9 and 9 again, yep. 14 and 7. I'm great. Let's get started. All right, 4 minus 2 is 2. 1 minus 1 is 0. 9 minus 9 is 0. 14 minus 7, 7. My answer is 2007. And all I have to do is turn my paper back and write that answer in. Now, if I take that number and I add it to my other number here, my answer should equal this. That tells me that by checking my answer, I did it correctly. Notice how nice that was just to turn your paper sideways to help you line up those numbers. All right, we're going to try one more problem today. I'm going to give you one that's a little bit of a challenge we've noticed. Let's start with a number like 6,000. Whew, big number. And I'm going to subtract 384 from it. And I know it equals something. Okay, let's go through. First step, I'm going to identify my place values. My ones, my tens, my hundreds, and my thousands. Let's get a different color so I can notice it. Now, there is no thousands in this one. Interesting. I better be careful when it's time to line it up. If you're already really great at lining it up, you don't need to color code it. Just for me, it's a great way to make sure that I am lining it up correctly. So I'm going to turn my paper sideways, and I'm going to write 6,000. 6, 0, 0, 0. Okay? Now if I go back to this, I see my 3 is green. That's under my first 0 as well, so I'm going to make sure I put that in the right spot. I really want to put it here, but I have to remember this matters. 3, 8 goes here, and 4 goes here. Now notice there's nothing under the 6, but if we go back to our original problem, we didn't have any in the thousands, so that makes sense. Now, this one is often a struggle because of all those zeros. This one requires a triple borrow. I know it's really tempting to say 0 minus 4 is 4, 0 minus 8 is 8, 0 minus 3 is 3, 6 minus nothing is 6. But then you would actually be getting a larger number and you'd be adding, not subtracting. So let's go through and start borrowing. So start with your largest digit, or largest value, I'm sorry. 6,000 is bigger than nothing. We're good. But 0, hundreds, is not bigger than 300. So we're going to go to our neighbor next door, and we're going to borrow 1,000 from them. So he's going to turn into a 5,000, and this is going to turn into 10 hundreds, which is 1,000. Okay, 5 is still greater than 0. 10 is greater than 3, but 0 is not greater than 8. So let's go next door. Instead of 10 hundreds, we're going to turn it into 9 100s and turn this into 10 tens, which is equal to 100. I notice I have a 0 here, so it tells me I have to do it again. I'm going next door. I'm going to turn him into a 9 for 90, and I'm borrowing that 10, so 0 becomes 10. So now when I go through it, 5 is greater than nothing, 9 is greater than 3, 9 is greater than 8, and 10 is greater than 4. That means I can start subtracting. 5 minus nothing is 5, 9 minus 3 is 6, 9 minus 8 is, thank you, 1, and 10 minus 4 is 6. So I am saying that 5,616 is my answer. let's just double check it one time. Let's try that out. So I'm going to take my answer, 5,616, and I'm going to add it to that number, 384. Notice how I lined my numbers up. Okay, now we're going to add 6 plus 4 is 10. I know I put my 0 down here, and I carry my 10 up, not my 1, remember. 10 plus 10 plus 8, well, 8 plus 10 is 90, plus another 10 is 100. I'm going to put my 0 down there and carry my 100. 600 plus 300 is 900, plus another 100 is 1,000. So put my 0 there, carry my 1,000. 5,000 plus 1,000 is 6,000. Look at what my answer is. That tells me my answer was correct. I hope this really helps with you guys. The really exciting thing is you can practice this at home with any numbers you can come up with. If you're finding this as a struggle, start with numbers that only go up to the hundreds place value. If you're finding this isn't too bad of a challenge, then go up to the thousands or even 10,000s and subtract them from hundreds. I'm really excited to see what you come up with, but like I said, your biggest factors that are going to help you are make sure you're subtracting when it is subtracting, line up your place values correctly, and then always double check that the number on the top is greater than or equal to than the number on the bottom before subtracting. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to email me, but thank you. Have a great day. Bye.